Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to RMSTG. Today we're going to talk about the 7 laws of kingdom leadership. 7 laws of kingdom leadership. These laws exist whether a man recognizes that they do or not. And we do want to make something very clear from the very beginning. RMSTG does not create these laws. I don't invent them. I don't claim any ownership to them. Definitely not adding to scripture in any type of way. These laws already exist. You can actually find the patterns of these laws in scripture, in leadership. You can see them in your family systems, economics, business, and in personal development. What RMSTG's position is that we simply give these laws a language and a structure. Okay, we organize what's already governing outcomes, and then we help you align with what's already true. So what Jesus said that in Matthew 5:19, that greatness in the kingdom is tied to practicing and teaching what's already established. So not modifying it, not improving it. We're definitely not rebranding it, but we're doing it and we're teaching it. All right. So that's our position here at RMSTG governance. Now, most men are failing not because they lack intelligence. Most men are failing because they're lacking structure, systems, and governance. Capable men are often inconsistent. Men are gifted, but they're unstable. And men are even visionaries, but they're undisciplined. They know that they're built for more, but their results simply don't match their capacity. And that gap there is not a talent issue, it's a governance issue. We got to keep in mind, law does not respond to potential. Law simply responds to alignment. Gravity doesn't care how you feel about it. Financial law doesn't care what you believe about it. And leadership law doesn't wait until you're ready to recognize it. So these are the 7 governing realities that are shaping every kingdom leader's outcomes, whether they believe them or not. If you ignore them, your decline is predictable. But if you align with them, then increase is inevitable. So let's walk through them one by one. Number 1 is the law of identity. Now, the law of identity says that kingdom leadership always starts with identity. Identity is what remains once pressure arises. When stress hits, what survives. When no one is watching, what remains. When comfort disappears, what stays there. That's what your identity is. Okay? It's not about what you post. It's not about what you say. It's simply about what you consistently produce. Pressure doesn't create identity. It exposes what's already there. Right? If your discipline disappears whenever you're stressed out, then discipline isn't installed. If integrity disappears when opportunity comes your way, then integrity doesn't govern you. So a fragmented identity creates fragmented leadership. Focus one week, drifting the next. Kingdom leadership requires stability. Law number 2 is the law of authority. Authority begins with self-governance. Right? Before a man is able to lead publicly, he must be tested privately. Authority is not a title, it's a structure. When your alarm clock rings in the morning, do you negotiate? If so, your authority weakens. If your standards shift based off your emotion, your authority gets fractured. And if your rules collapse under stress, then authority is unstable. So authority actually corrects entitlement. Standards that aren't enforced are suggestions, and suggestions do not produce leaders. If you can't govern yourself, you won't sustain leadership over anything else. Law number 3 is the law of obedience. Now, obedience is execution without emotional negotiation. Again, most men know what to do. They simply don't do it consistently. That's not ignorance. That's selective obedience. You can't obey your health part-time expecting full-time strength. You can't obey financial principles occasionally and expect financial stability. So selective obedience always produces selective outcomes. Kingdom leadership requires execution beyond comfort. Law number 4 is the law of discipline. Discipline is repeated alignment. It's not intensity, but it's continuity. Anybody can go hard for a week, but few can stay steady for 90 days. We got to remember consistency compounds, discipline compounds, but inconsistency breaks down. Your kept commitments build internal trust and confidence, but your broken commitments shrink it. What have you sustained consecutively for 90 days? That answer reveals your structure. Kingdom leadership is built on sustained alignment. Law number 5 is the law of responsibility. Responsibility is accepting assigned weight. Once other people depend on you, inconsistency is no longer a private matter. It becomes structural and public. If your household fluctuates with your mood, responsibility isn't complete. If your finances suffer because you avoid review, responsibility is lacking. So what responsibility does is it removes blame. It's not culture, it's not background, it's not circumstances, it's ownership. Kingdom leadership turns private discipline into public stability. Number 6 is the law of stewardship. Stewardship is management. Increase always follows management. Not desire, not vision, not ambition, but what you manage. If you don't track your money, you can't steward it. If you don't measure your time, you'll spend it in the wrong place. And if you don't intentionally invest in your marriage, you can't steward your marriage right. So always keep in mind, whatever you measure improves, whatever you ignore declines. Kingdom leadership multiplies through faithful management. Number 7 is the law of trustworthiness. Trustworthiness is predictable faithfulness over time. It's not talent or charisma, but predictability. If people cannot predict your alignment, then your trust disappears. If your mood determines your reliability, instability grows. So trust reduces friction. In marriage, it creates safety. In business, it creates opportunity. In leadership, it creates influence. Trust is always earned through repeated alignment. And kingdom leadership is governance that you can depend on. Now ask yourself this question. If these 7 laws were installed in your life for 12 months, what would change? You become stable. Your standards would hold. Momentum would sustain. Confidence would compound. Your household would strengthen. Resources would multiply. And opportunity would expand. Not emotionally, but structurally. See, most men are not behind in talent. They're behind in governance or a system. And RMSTG, of course, doesn't create laws. We recognize them, we name them, we organize them, and we help men install these laws. These are not inspirational concepts. These are actually governing realities that produce measurable outcomes and circumstances. The laws already exist. The only question is, do they govern you? All right. Now, what this looks like in any field, this applies whether a man is in sales, trades, corporate leadership, entrepreneurship, ministry, education, or government. Okay. For the first 30 days, when you install these laws, friction arises, excuses get exposed, and weakness becomes visible. After 60 days, stability increases, deadlines get met, energy improves, reliability becomes noticeable. After 90 days, predictability forms. You have less emotional volatility, more completion, and less restarting. In 6 to 12 months, if you're in sales, close rates improve, promotions become more realistic, revenue stabilizes, skills compound, marriage strengthens, and your savings grow. Not because of any hype, but because law always responds to alignment. Remember, external outcomes differ by each field, but structural stability remains consistent. The government becomes harder to shake, harder to distract, harder to derail, becomes easier to trust, easier to promote, and easier to partner with. Kingdom leadership is not about personality. It's lawful governance installed over time. When law is honored, increase follows. Let's get it.